Today, Bola Badabo spoke with a criminal defense attorney and the district attorney.
Justin Link was the person who first suggested that the group of 5 murder Barbara Thomas, and ultimately he is the one who told his companions to finish the job and to kill Barbara Thomas.
One of the most notorious murder cases in Central Oregon history, Redmond 5. Justin Link, one of 5 teens involved in the assault and fatal shooting of Barbara Thomas at her home in Redmond, had been granted parole and an April 28th release date. Both Deschutes County District Attorney Steve Gunnels and criminal defense attorney Thaddeus Betts believes Link was an integral piece of the homicide despite him not being the one to pull the trigger 20-plus years ago. However, Betts does not conclude Link to be the primary orchestrator in the killing.
I can only speculate about what goes on in a group of children's heads. And I think the judge that sentenced him originally put it appropriately in that it was a case of groupthink gone wrong.
Both weigh differently on the matter of justice when it comes to Link's fate.
I did not support Justin Link's release. I believed that he should have been held, but the parole board made a different decision.
I think it was the correct legal decision because the parole board was tasked with assessing whether or not Mr. Link has been rehabilitated. And I think there's no real question that he has been.
The Oregon Board of Parole assessed a number of conditions, including a mental health diagnosis, age and immaturity of the person at the time of the offense, and heavily on Link's emotional growth and increased maturity during his imprisonment. Criminal defense attorney Thaddeus Betts, representing Link, said his rehabilitation, in part, was based on his conduct in prison and a level of accountability.
He doesn't fight, he doesn't cause trouble. He has maintained an exemplary discipline record. He knows that but for his participation, Barbara Thomas might still be alive.
When asked about the motive behind Link's involvement in the killing, Gunnels responded,
Justin Link had a personal dislike for Barbara Thomas because she was trying to get her son, Adam Thomas, to not hang out with Justin Link.
Betts said there was no specific motive.
To put him in context, it was a person who had only a 9th grade education, who had a broken home, was essentially homeless, as probably we would describe that today, running around with peer adolescents that were also had no real direction in life.
Thomas's niece, Sarah Jones, stands against the release and told News Channel 21 that justice is not served.
It depends what purpose justice ought to serve. If justice is about reforming somebody, then Justin's been reformed.
Betts said Link requested to be paroled in Arkansas, where most of his family lives. He told the board moving out of state would be less traumatic for the family of Barbara Thomas. Bola Badabo, News Channel 21.